Tobago, son and daughter of the soil. God, Jordan, and Lenora Jordan. We come to give God praise to lift up his holy name. Because he said in his word, if he be lifted up, he will draw souls unto it. So here we are to lift up holy name. That soul be saved. Hallelujah. 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 Hallelujah to the King. Hallelujah. 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 Hallelujah to the King. Let the Lord be praised. I praise his holy name. Keep my feet, Lord. Keep my feet, Lord. I will praise you all of my days. Hallelujah. 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 Hallelujah to the King. Hallelujah. 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 Hallelujah to the King. I come to you, dear Lord. I need your help today. I don't want to look back. I don't want to look back. I don't want to fall away. Hallelujah. 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 Hallelujah to the King. Hallelujah. 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 Hallelujah to the King. All my pain I know it. I come to you, my dear. Only you are Lord. Only you are Lord. God, wipe away our tears. Hallelujah. 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 Hallelujah to the King. Hallelujah. 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 Hallelujah to the King. I will hold my glorious. Take them along with me. We all must walk in love and victory. Hallelujah. 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 Hallelujah to the King. Hallelujah. 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 Hallelujah to the King. Hallelujah. 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 Hallelujah to the King. Hallelujah. So today I'll be continuing from where I stopped off last week, and the topic is the Sabbath reference in Matthew chapter 24, verse 20 refers to Israel and not to the church of Jesus Christ. So all scriptures will be taken from the King James Version. So now none of the prophecies in the Old or New Testament which point to Sabbath keeping during this dispensation of grace and beyond were written for the purpose of being part of the instruction in righteousness for New Testament saints. Instead, they were specifically written for the purpose of highlighting the type of worship which the Jews, who having rejected their Messiah, shall practice even in this dispensation, and the mode that would obtain during the millennial reign of Christ on earth. Now, in this regard, let's turn to Matthew chapter 24, verse 20. But pray ye that your flight be not in the winter, neither on the Sabbath day. So, for Israel, having rejected its Messiah, the Lord of the Sabbath, would continue, even in this period of grace, to practice its original form of worship, and would continue same during Christ's millennial reign on earth. So, for confirmation, read Isaiah chapter 56 from verse 1 to 7 and Ezekiel chapter 46 from verse 1 to 8. So I'll read Isaiah 56 from verse 1 to 7, followed by Ezekiel chapter 46 from verse 1 to 8. Thus saith the Lord, keep ye judgment and do justice, for my salvation is near to come, and my righteousness to be revealed. Blessed is the man that doeth this, and the Son of Man that layeth hold on it, that keepeth the Sabbath from polluting it, and keepeth his hand from doing any evil. Neither let the son of the stranger that had joined himself to the Lord speak, saying, the Lord had utterly separated me from his people. Neither let the eunuch say, behold, I am a dry tree. For thus saith the Lord unto the eunuchs that keep my Sabbaths, and choose the things that please me, and take hold of my covenants. Even unto them will I give in my house and within my walls a place and a name better than of sons and of daughters. I will give them an everlasting name that shall not be cut off. Also the sons of the stranger that join themselves to the Lord, to serve him and to love the name of the Lord, to be his servants, everyone that keepeth the Sabbath from polluting it, and taketh hold of my covenant. Even them will I bring to my holy mountain, and make them joyful in my house of prayer. Their burnt offerings and their sacrifices shall be accepted upon my altar, for my house shall be called an house of prayer for all people. Now I'll read Ezekiel chapter 46 from verse 1 to 8. Thus saith the Lord God, the gate of the inner court that looketh towards the east shall be shut the 6 working days, but on the Sabbath it shall be opened, and in the day of the new moon it shall be opened. And the prince shall enter by the way of the porch of that gate without, and shall stand by the post of the gate. And the priest shall prepare his burnt offering and his peace offerings, and he shall worship at the threshold of the gate. Then he shall go forth, but the gate shall not be shut until the evening. Likewise, the people of the land shall worship at the door of this gate before the Lord in the Sabbaths and in the new moons. And the burnt offering that the prince shall offer unto the Lord in the Sabbath day shall be 6 lambs without blemish, and a ram without blemish. And the meat offering shall be an ephah for a ram, and the meat offering for the lambs as he shall be able to give, and an hin of oil to an ephah. And in the day of the new moon it shall be a young bullock without blemish, and 6 lambs, and a ram there shall be without blemish. And he shall prepare a meat offering, an ephah for a bullock, and an ephah for a ram, and for the lambs according as his hand shall attain unto, and an hin of oil to an ephah. And when the prince shall enter, he shall go in by the way of the porch of that gate, and he shall go forth by the way thereof. So during Christ's millennial reign, Sabbath keeping will be one of the main features of Jewish worship, right? So you can read Isaiah chapter 58 from verse 12 to 14 and Ezekiel chapter 46 from verse 1 to 12. Now, not only would Sabbath keeping be mandatory for the Jews then, but along with new moon observance, Sabbath keeping would also be obligatory for all those Gentile nations that survived the battle of Armageddon. So, one can turn to Isaiah chapter 66, verse 23 for confirmation. So, I'll read Isaiah chapter 66, verse 23. And it shall come to pass that from one new moon to another, and from one Sabbath to another, shall all flesh come to worship before me, saith the Lord. So those who willingly subscribe to Sabbath keeping then, that is, during the millennial reign of Christ on earth, shall be honorably rewarded by God. So this can be confirmed by reading Isaiah chapter 56 from verse 1 to 8, and also Zechariah chapter 14 from verse 16 to 19. So I'll read Isaiah 56 from verse 1 to 8. Thus saith the Lord, keep ye judgment and do justice, for my salvation is near to come, and my righteousness to be revealed. Blessed is the man that doeth this, and the Son of Man that layeth hold on it, that keepeth the Sabbath from polluting it, and keepeth his hand from doing any evil. Neither let the son of the stranger that had journeyed himself to the Lord speak, saying, the Lord had utterly separated me from his people. Neither let the eunuch say, behold, I am a dry tree. For thus saith the Lord unto the eunuchs that keep my Sabbaths, and choose the things that please me, and take hold of my covenants. Even unto them will I give in my house and within my walls a place and a name better than of sons and of daughters. I will give them an everlasting name that shall not be cut off. Also the sons of the stranger that join themselves to the Lord, to serve him and to love the name of the Lord, to be his servants, everyone that keepeth the Sabbath from polluting it, and taketh hold of my covenant, even them will I bring to my holy mountain, and make them joyful in my house of prayer. Their burnt offerings and their sacrifices shall be accepted upon my altar, for my house shall be called an house of prayer for all people. The Lord God which gathereth the outcast of Israel saith, yet will I gather others to him, beside those that are gathered unto him. So what I just read establishes the importance of the Sabbaths to the Israelites and its future importance during the millennial reign of Christ upon this very planet of ours. But it must be noted, however, that there is no prophecy in the Old or New Testament which points to Sabbath keeping as a doctrine for New Testament believers in this dispensation of grace. So, brethren, all Sabbath related Prophetic references which suggest present or future Sabbath keeping must either refer to the Jews who, having rejected Christ, the Lord of the Sabbath, continue to observe the seventh day Sabbath, which in reality is only the sign of the true Sabbath of God. For confirmation, read Exodus chapter 31, verse 17. In addition, the Israelites shall be observing it during the Great Tribulation, as we read in Matthew chapter 24, verse 20. They also point to it also points to the type of religious tradition which shall be mandatory for both Jews and Gentiles who live during the millennial reign of Christ on planet Earth. Now, persons can read these scriptures for themselves just to confirm what was just stated. Isaiah chapter 56 from verse 1 to 7, Isaiah chapter 58 from verse 12 to 14, Isaiah chapter 66 verse 23, and Ezekiel chapter 46 from verse 1 to 21. Now, to prove that the Sabbath reference in Matthew 24 verse 20 is Jew related, one only need to read Matthew chapter 24 from verse 15 to 21 in order to recognize that the focal point of that Sabbath reference is Jerusalem, where Sabbath keeping is practiced even today. So let's turn to Matthew 24 and I'll read from verse 15 to 21. When ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation, spoken of by Daniel the prophet, stand in the holy place, whoso readeth, let him understand. Then let them which be in Judea flee into the mountains. Let him which is on the house stop, not come down to take anything out of his house. Neither let him which is in the field return back to take his clothes. And woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days. But pray ye that your flight be not in the winter, neither on the Sabbath day, for then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be. So, when one remember that St. Matthew's Gospel targeted the Jews primarily, one can appreciate the reason for that Matthew chapter 24 verse 20 Sabbath reference. So that fact becomes very clear when one compares Matthew chapter 24 verse 20 text with what St. Luke wrote, right? So now St. Luke, unlike St. Matthew, wrote his gospel with the entire world as his target group. Therefore, his corresponding text of Luke chapter 21, verse 20 to 22 has no Sabbath reference whatsoever, although Matthew chapter 24 and Luke 21 are treating with the same issue. All right, so let's turn to Luke chapter 21 from verse 20 to 22. And when ye shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, then know that the desolation thereof is nigh. Then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains, and let them which are in the midst of it depart out. And let not them that are in the countries enter thereinto, for these be the days of vengeance, that all things which are written may be fulfilled. Now, concerning Sabbath observances during the millennial reign of Christ on earth, please read Isaiah chapter 56 from verse 1 to 8, Isaiah chapter 66 verse 23, Ezekiel chapter 46 from verse 1 to 21, and observe that new moon observance and worship involving animal sacrifices are associated with Sabbath keeping then. So turn to Colossians chapter 2 from verse 16 to 17 and be reminded that the Apostle Paul informs us that that type of worship, which is typical of Judaism, shall again be reinstated during Christ's millennial reign on planet Earth. So let's turn to Colossians chapter 2 and we'll read from verse 16 to 17. Let no man therefore judge you in meat or in drink or in respect of an holy day or of the new moon or of the Sabbath days, which are a shadow of things to come, but the body is of Christ. So, no Christian is expected to subscribe to any of what I just read of those Jewish ordinances today, which can be confirmed by reading Colossians chapter 2, verse 13 to 14, and verse 16 to 17. So, that's the end of my segment today. I will be live next week again. So remember, Jesus Christ is returning soon. Please prepare yourselves for his return. So please be safe and have a great week. God bless.